His phone buzzed beside me, and that's when I saw it. The familiar flame icon. My stomach dropped faster than a lead balloon. It was Tinder, and we were supposed to be in love. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee usually filled our Brooklyn apartment with a comforting warmth, a promise of lazy Sunday mornings and hushed conversations. But that particular Sunday, the air was thick with a silence that tasted like ash. Liam was still asleep, sprawled across his side of the bed, a stray ray of morning sun illuminating the gentle curve of his jaw. He looked so peaceful, so innocent. And in my hand, his phone felt like a ticking time bomb. My heart was doing a frantic samba against my ribs. I'd picked up his phone, innocently enough, to check the time. My own was charging across the room. That's when the notification popped up, almost mockingly. Not a text, not a call, but that vibrant orange flame, the icon of an app one hadn't touched in years, an app one never expected to see on a screen. Tinder. We'd been together for 2 years. 2 years of shared dreams, tangled limbs, whispered secrets, and a fierce, unspoken belief that we were building something real, something solid. We talked about moving in together permanently, about getting a dog, about visiting Ireland, his ancestral home. Our lives were so intertwined, so meticulously woven together, that the idea of him being on a dating app felt not just like a betrayal, but an absolute impossibility. A glitch in the matrix of my carefully constructed world. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it was an old app he'd forgotten to delete. A relic from a past life. But the notification, it was new. A message. From someone. I gripped the phone tighter, my knuckles white. A small, rational part of my brain screamed at me to put it down, to pretend I hadn't seen it, to give him the benefit of the doubt. But the larger, wounded part of me, the part that was already bleeding, demanded answers. With a trembling finger, I unlocked the screen. No password. Another sting. He trusted me implicitly, or so I thought. The app opened and there it was, his profile. His face, that smile I loved, plastered across the screen, accompanied by a witty bio about his love for indie music and craft beer. My breath hitched. It wasn't an old profile. It was active. Fresh. The messages were right there, glaring up at me like incriminating evidence. A string of flirtatious exchanges, plans being made. Can't wait for drinks on Thursday, read one. Thursday. The day he told me he had to work late. My vision blurred. The apartment, usually a sanctuary, suddenly felt claustrophobic. I stumbled out of bed, the phone still clutched in my hand, and walked to the window. The city, usually a symphony of bustling life, now seemed to mock me with its indifferent normalcy. People walked their dogs, parents pushed strollers, life went on. My life, however, had just imploded. I wanted to scream, to smash the phone, to wake him up and demand an explanation. But a strange, cold calm settled over me. A quiet, terrifying resolve. I took screenshots. So many screenshots. Every message, every picture, every detail that confirmed the sickening truth. I wasn't sure why I was doing it. Proof? For myself? For some future confrontation? I just knew I needed to document the wreckage. I slipped the phone back onto his nightstand, exactly where I'd found it. My hands were shaking so violently, I had to press them against my thighs. I tiptoed into the bathroom, splashing cold water on my face, hoping to wash away the burning sensation behind my eyes. It didn't work. The reflection staring back at me was a stranger, pale and haunted. When he finally stirred, stretching luxuriously, I was sitting on the edge of the bed, pretending to read a book. My heart hammered, a frantic drum solo. "Morning, sleepyhead," he murmured, his voice thick with sleep and affection. He reached for me, pulling me into a hug. His touch, usually a source of comfort, now felt like a searing brand. Every fiber of my being screamed to pull away, to push him off, to confess what I knew. But I just lay there, stiff and unyielding, his arm around my waist, his familiar scent suddenly alien. "Everything okay?" he asked, his voice laced with concern. I forced a smile, a brittle, fragile thing that felt like it would shatter any moment. Just a little tired. The lie tasted like ash. The day unfolded in a surreal haze. We made pancakes, listened to music, just like any other Sunday. He talked about his week, about a new project at work, about plans for our upcoming anniversary. Every word was a knife twist. How could he sit there, so normal, so loving, when he was living this double life? Was I a fool? Had I been so blind? The silence between us, once comfortable, was now a chasm, filled with unspoken accusations and the buzzing of a secret. I wanted to confront him, but the words wouldn't form. A part of me was terrified of what he would say, terrified of confirming my worst fears. Another part, the wounded part, wanted to watch him squirm, wanted him to explain himself without me having to utter a single word. That evening, as we watched a movie, I felt a desperate need to escape the apartment, to breathe air that wasn't tainted by his deception. "I'm just going to run to the store," I announced, standing up abruptly. "Need a few things." He nodded, engrossed in the film. "Okay, babe. See you in a bit." The moment I stepped outside, the cool evening air hit me like a revelation. I walked aimlessly, the city lights blurring through the unshed tears in my eyes. I called Sarah, my best friend, my voice cracking. I found his Tinder. There was a stunned silence on the other end. Then, "Oh, honey, no." Pouring out the story to Sarah was like lancing a wound. The pain was excruciating, but there was a strange, undeniable relief in finally speaking the truth, in having someone else witness the shattered pieces of my world. Sarah, ever practical, advised me to gather my thoughts, to plan my next move. "You deserve better than this, Sam. You know that, right?" I knew, but knowing and accepting were two different things. I went back to the apartment, a new kind of resolve hardening in my chest. I couldn't live with this lie, this agonizing uncertainty. He was in the kitchen making tea. "Liam," I said, my voice steady despite the tremor in my hands. He turned, a warm smile on his face.
"Hey.
Everything okay?" I walked over to the counter, placing my phone, screen up, between us. The screenshots were a gallery of his betrayal. His smile faltered. His eyes widened, fixing on the images. The color drained from his face. "What is this, Sam?" he whispered, though the question was rhetorical. He knew exactly what it was. "You tell me," I said, my voice barely a whisper, but laced with a strength I didn't know I possessed. "You tell me why your Tinder profile is active. You tell me why you're planning drinks with someone else on Thursday, while you're here with me." He stammered, incoherent apologies and explanations tumbling out. It's not what you think. It's old. I swear, I haven't been on it." His eyes darted nervously. "Don't lie to me, Liam," I said, the words cutting through his flimsy excuses. "I saw the messages. I saw the dates. It's not old. It's right now." The silence that followed was deafening, punctuated only by the frantic beat of my own heart. He looked away, his shoulders slumping. The comfortable, loving man I knew seemed to shrink before my eyes, replaced by a stranger, caught in a lie. He finally looked at me, his eyes filled with a desperate, pathetic plea.
I don't know why I am.
"I swear, it's not what it looks like. I haven't done anything. It was just curiosity. A stupid mistake."
Curiosity.
A stupid mistake. Words that tasted like poison. My mind raced, replaying every moment of our relationship. The little doubts I'd brushed aside, the times he'd been distant, the excuses for late nights. They all clicked into place, forming a horrifying tapestry of deception. "Curiosity," I echoed, my voice rising. "You're telling me that while we're talking about our future, while you're holding me, you're on a dating app, curious about other women? What kind of mistake is that, Liam? A mistake that shatters everything." Tears finally welled in my eyes, hot and stinging. They weren't just tears of sadness, but of anger, of profound disappointment. I had given him my trust, my heart, my everything, and he had treated it like something disposable, something to be played with when the mood struck him. "I need you to leave," I said, the words heavy, resolute. He looked up, startled.
"What? No. Please. Let's talk about this."
"I can explain." "There's nothing to explain," I said, shaking my head. "You made your choice, and I'm making mine." The next few hours were a blur of shouting, pleading, and finally, a quiet, broken understanding. He packed a bag, his movements slow and hesitant. I watched him, my heart aching with a pain so deep it felt physical. The man I loved was leaving, not because I wanted him to, but because he had forced my hand. When the door finally clicked shut, the silence in the apartment was overwhelming. But this time, it wasn't the thick, suffocating silence of a lie. It was the vast, empty silence of a new beginning. A painful, terrifying, but ultimately necessary one. I walked to the window and looked out at the city lights. They still glowed, a testament to the resilience of life, even when your own world had been turned upside down. It wasn't easy. The nights were long, filled with phantom touches and the ghosts of shared laughter. The apartment felt too big, too quiet. But with each passing day, the ache lessened. I leaned on Sarah, on my family. I rediscovered parts of myself I'd neglected. I learned that my strength wasn't dependent on his love, but on my own ability to heal and to choose myself. Finding his Tinder was the beginning of the end of something I thought was forever. But it was also the beginning of something new, something real. The truth, however painful, set me free. And sometimes, the most heartbreaking endings are just disguised as the bravest new beginnings. If this story resonated with you, please give it a like, subscribe for more powerful narratives, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever faced a similar situation? How did you navigate it? I'd love to hear your experiences.